Okay, guys, let's go live. I'm going to play some music, put some sugar in my coffee, and I will join you in just a few seconds. So let's go. Happy Saturday, of course. Let's not forget that. This is going to play? Yeah, I hope so. Boy, that music is intense as it goes along. Good morning, let's see who's here. Let's see. Oh, I think this Barbie's pin is covering. Who was first? Who was first? Was it Lynn first? Who was first? I cannot see the top two things. Hi, Knitting Yogi. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Lynn. Lynn, were you first? My pin is covering the very first message, so I can outsmart it. Let's see, U.S. New York. Let's try to save it all the way there. If it's going to let me, to see if I can reveal it somewhere else. Hi, everybody. We have a sunny day. It's going to be really warm this weekend. I was reading forecasts and they're saying that Canada is actually entering the new phase, which again, it's just like looking at a crystal ball, pretty much what I do. And the new phase means that we will be basically having this late winter as we had this year. And then with this late winter, we are going to have, even though we had a really harsh winter this time around, yeah, it was Lynn the first. But we are going to have spring, which we actually usually don't have it in Toronto. And it's going to start right now. Usually in Toronto, our spring starts in May. I know, it sucks. And that it's going to last just regular, kind of like normal calendar spring, because we're going to have a fall, a little bit extended. So I don't know, maybe this guy was high when he wrote it, and hopefully he wasn't. So hopefully we really get what it is. Now, guys, did you notice that Barbie is blue? And I don't know if this YouTube did it or Barbie did it, but we are back, and she has a wrench next to her, so be careful about that. So good morning, Barbie. Good morning, Ellen. Good morning, Yogi. Who else? I saw somebody else. Kelsey, I believe. Crystal. I saw there. That's right. And we are still missing a few us regulars, so we will see that. That's right. Barbie is already. See, I love that. It's just like kind of like she's keeping me on schedule. It's Aries' birthday. It's starting today, so we guys are all going to have a little bit very direct approach for the next month. Is going to be roll up the sleeves and let's do it. It's almost like a panic mode where you don't have the time to sit and kind of like take everybody's feelings in account. So many feelings will be hurt, but many things will be done at the same time. So I think that's going to be awesome. So this is my first coffee in the morning, the first sip. So we will start with Aries, guys. Happy birthday, Aries. And I'm continuing with this deck. I still like it. So we are going to do this, and you guys get to go first, being the birthday. So this one wanted to come out, and you have a 6 of Cups. There are some kind of memories, guys. There's like some kind of a thing that is really, really coming up. Oh, this one wants to come out, and it's a 3 of Swords reverse. Oh, guys, are you thinking about somebody lost? Thinking about somebody who is causing you pain, who betrayed you? But like, it's weird. I would generally say this is Mercury retrograde kind of a thingy, and with Mercury retrograde thingy, you kind of oh, and the Magician. Man, these cards are really truly beautiful. I need my pointer cards, so if anybody's clicking through it, they know where they are. So here you go, Aries. So guys, there is a clearly, like, and this is all adding to 10, and 10 is like 1 and 0, and if you reduce it further down and you add 1 and 0, you just come out with 1, right? And that 1 is clearly what specifies Aries in horoscope, right? You are number 1. You are pushing through. In tarot, you are actually starting at number 4. The really motion forward in tarot starts at number 3, but 4 is like sort of like more concise, more like we put it down on a paper. This is agreed and signed a contract. 3 is like emotionally we are there. 4 is like this is going forward or not, right? If it's reversed. However, you are getting a Magician over here. Magician is connected to air. It's Mercury. It's representing Mercury. And I was just about to say, this here is really telling me it's like a kind of like Mercury retrograde or something. So I'm wondering if there is a positioning in your natal chart that there's like something with a Mercury at this stage, because this really tells me this is really thinking about the past. Look, isn't this lovely? When you're thinking, I was a little boy, it's kind of like really weird, because I just really don't think this dog can live this long, but okay, never mind. I guess this is art. So it's just like maybe saying kind of like, or maybe the dog is thinking about the dog and a little boy. Anyway, I'm just trying to like remove my logical mind over here and kind of like push it aside. The whole point, I guess, over here is like, hey, remember when you were a puppy? Remember what we were doing when you were a puppy? And remember maybe you played with my son, kind of a thing. I don't know. You tell me, guys. Is this guy able to be the same guy, given the dogs live, whatever, 10, 15 years? Kind of like that's where it's confusing for me. And that's why my Aquarian mind kicks in. I don't know if you can see it clearly, or it's kind of like fuzzy for you as well. In any case, maybe you guys are thinking about something from the past, something that is really kind of like leaving an impression with you. Aries guys are not very, let's say, moody or nostalgic as the rest of us signs can be. When they get in that mode, that kind of like they're thinking about the past, they're like reminiscing over certain things, they almost like get angry. This is kind of like almost to them like, I'm in food. It's a fuel for something that is actually moving forward, right? So here it tells me that there are some kind of leftovers, either of something that has happened that somebody has hurt you, or something that has happened that kind of like you are carrying it on, right? And this is kind of like really, really interesting over here, because this is really not typical for you. But then the Magician kicks in and it says, it's almost like you slap yourself around and you say, you know what? I am not going to deal with this. I have to leave this in the past. It is what it is. It is also possible that the person approaches you from the past and it kind of like brings this whoosh that wave of emotions. And that's right, it's a spring equinox as well, and we are celebrating in Toronto with really nice weather. So Aries, it cannot be it's really interesting. What I really like, because you are starting one day early this year with your sign. The sun kind of like moved one day early, and it's almost like that. I think because these are weekly readings, that I'm seeing this. You need to close whatever you need to close, because for you, New Year is starting. So also numerologically, it's starting for you New Year after your birthday, the day of, like the hour after your birthday, not even on a day, depending on you what time, what hour you have been born. If you have been born on the 20th at 11:59 p.m., then you're going to have to wait until then for your numerological year to switch. So what does it mean? You add the digits of this year, 2021, so 2 plus 1 plus 2, which is 5. So you add 5 to your date of birth, but not to your year, just to day and to month. So for example, with me, it's like 15 of February, so it's on, and 5 is 6, and 2 is 8, and 5 is going to be 13, and 13 is a karmic number, so I have to look at this 13 as a karmic number, so that means I have to clean some karmic debts, but also it reduces it down to 4. Last year was universal year number 4. We all know what it was, so you can just imagine what the year is ahead of me. So for each of us is different. If you get 11, if you get 22, 33, or 44, you don't reduce that number. They are called master numbers, which means it's going to be tensed if you're not a master number, even if you are. If you're still confused how to calculate this, please contact me. You can see my contacts here on the right hand side, and just drop me an email and I will calculate it for you. So Kylie, you have Aries rising, no reminiscing, but did have a bad nightmare about past air sign person last night. So that, I guess, can be this, because honestly, I don't know if you guys agree, but this is one of the worst Three of Swords that I have ever seen in any deck. It's painful, but when this is reversed, it's kind of like not having a deep impact. It's a surface. It's almost like when you burn yourself or you cut yourself and they stitch you up and it's healed, right? You don't have it, but you still see the scar, and each time you look at it, it kind of like brings emotional memories forward. Oh my gosh, your master number is 33, Kylie. Is that your birthday? Is that your name when it adds up as original at birth? Because that's freaking amazing. So 33s are really dwelling on harmony, and anything that is less than harmony, and not only harmony in your home, but harmony in the world. You can actually change the world. It's extremely powerful number, and it's a mission. And I think you're coming to this age, right, Kylie? Because it usually doesn't manifest until we get into late 30s, kind of like early 40s, and we simply cannot handle it. It's just like too much. It's like kind of like you cannot teach university when you're 7 years old. I mean, you can. It will be kind of weird. You might not be still ready. But like when we are like 39, 35, usually starts around 45, but for some people earlier. Then, like, I mean, you have learned all these lessons of hard knocks, and now you know and feel it on your own skin, and you know which mistakes you would be making otherwise. So Aries, the week is going to be good. I think this weekend is going to be something like that. Something is bubbling up on the surface. It's simply just like it needs to be cleared out of the system. See, Kylie, so this is it. This is like amazing. So you lived most of your life as 6, which is harmony. But 33 is now saying, okay, Kylie, it was enough of resting. Now, everything that you have learned, and it was not easy, probably when you're a master number, guys, it's nothing to look forward. Like, don't be envious, because it's hell, ask Kylie. And then you get to a certain age. For me, that happened like a few days ago. A few years ago when I opened Cat Tarot. It's just like I finally did what I meant to do. It just like, never mind marketing, never mind kind of like dealing with drug addicts in a courtrooms and stuff. Just do this, and all of a sudden, like, it's community, and I feel that I'm really doing what I'm meant to do, right? So Kylie's doors are now opening wide and saying, no, you just cannot coexist. You need to make a difference. And that difference, Kylie, is probably you're doing through your schooling, and maybe that's where you have been pushed with your number 33, because you went into that healing. So Aries, for you, it's opposite. You have a 10, you have a very simple number. 1 is like this new direction that you really need to take. It's a switch happening. You're kind of like leaving bygones to be bygones kind of a thing. But that's 0. It's the journey. You are getting fully aware of that journey. So enjoy the week. The weekend could be, as I said, cleaning the house, internal kind of like storages and everything else. But then you're moving forward, and moving forward is going to feel great. You're going to feel you can do anything. Magician has all the tools, so you don't have to do anything special to kind of like go and further move forward. So that's kind of how it goes. And I think actually, guys, that most of you here that come are kind of like these high vibrations, because this is the difference from, I think, my channel, that we high vibrations people, we kind of like it takes one to know one kind of a thing. So you don't necessarily have to have your birthday adding up to 11, 22, 33, or 44. There are like also subtypes in your name. And when I had my tarot school, which I probably should open up again, it's just like drained me so much, then people realize, oh my gosh, I have these 11s buried in my name, right? So even though maybe this is not fully flamboyant, 11 or whatever other master number, it still affected them, and they start like understanding a little bit more, right? So another sip of my coffee. Okay, Barbie, let's test you, my dear. What am I going to draw right now, Barbie? I'm putting Barbie on the spot. Hello, Hazel. How are you doing? I don't remember seeing you. Like, I'm so glad to see new people. So let's check it out. The next one is Libra. So even though Barbie didn't speak, I guess she maybe just thought to herself, well, why can't we just pull Libra then when we are already working? Ah, close, very close. I'll give you this. Very, very close. So, good first timer. Hi, Hazel, what sign are you? Let us know. And all these people in blue are moderators, meaning like they are like here coming each and every time because I'm focused on readings. They can help you and answer the questions. So let's move on. You might have some of your own questions, and you will have time to ask them. So they will explain to you. Just ask. All right. Libras, let's see, Libra. Oh, I put a better timestamp. And guess what? This mostly means that Barbie will be able to continue putting a timestamps. I felt so bad. She's like doing such an awesome job. Sagittarius. Okay. We have other Sagittarians here. Oops. So this one is this cool dude, King of Cups. Something sensual coming along, but there's always but. There's 9 of Swords, and this one wants to come out, and there's 6 of Cups. What's going on this week? Why is everybody going through this Mercury retrograde? Honestly, yesterday I thought I was going through Mercury retrograde. All my little devices were going off, and I got myself a glasses that they have the speakers built in. It's for walking tiger, so it's not the butt. I hate headbuds. Because it just blocks everything out. This one allows me to hear everything around me, and yet I have radio, music, phone, whatever. So we have here interesting things. So we have a King of Cups, and maybe Barbie is going to give us a little bit of more insight. What's this all about? So there's somebody who could be, I don't know how to describe this guy. Like when you look at these kings, this guy is the calmest, but if you can tell, I don't know what it is. Maybe I really need glasses. I cannot tell what is dependent over here at all. Let me see, is there a book that says about it? And but what I'm noticing here is like that this is radiating from his heart. Just want to see if maybe the booklet says, what is this? Now I'm really intrigued. The booklet is just not following their own thing over there. It says he softens his gaze and reaches for his singing bowl. When something unexpected comes into the King of Cups awareness, something that may shake another person's composure and send them into a state of stress or anger, he regulates his emotional state with his mature, practiced meditative energy. Finding the sweet spot between the empathic heart and intelligent mind, is the key to this successful leadership style. It doesn't describe. It says, again, stay clear of situations that feel emotional and manipulative. Instead, seek to understand others through empathy, tolerance, and compassion. Emotional fulfillment will be yours. And there is like incantation: my heart holds deep wisdom and love, and I use it to connect and lead. To me, this guy, and even in this card, I guess singing bowl is the one thing I haven't noticed before, so I'm glad that kind of like brought it to my attention. Generally, in this card, it shows not a sailboat, but a big, solid kind of like boat that kind of like goes up and down, which kind of like signifies this person can bring this serenity. It can bring that peace into our lives. Maybe this is you, either kind of like pulling yourself in, or it is somebody else coming in. I have a more inclination to think there's like somebody else coming in, and somebody who seems to be chilly as a cucumber over here. And maybe this could be even irritating to you. It is not a natural state of Libra. Yes, you're always trying to get in balance, and Zen is very appealing to you. But just like watching somebody breathe makes you nervous. It's just like literally you get into this frenzy and stage like, oh my God, kind of like it's kind of like a whole bunch of kind of like checkpoints on you, kind of like go on alert, and like you're kind of like a little bit disturbed with this. It is really interesting because this could be somebody from your past, because Six of Cups is again popping up. But in addition to that, we have this Nine of Swords, and 9 and 6 makes 15, which is Devil card in tarot. Now this is interesting. Can you see here there are a whole bunch of dark birds coming down, but some of them are not formed yet. Some of them are just, if you see a sketch over here, right? So this sketch means to me, like, don't invent problems, right? Sometimes I'm coaching people, and when I'm coaching them and they have relationships, and as you know, probably most of you, online dating and dating in general, it seems to be very difficult and tense this year. These years, yes. Anything online is not natural. You don't know anything about a person. You know that they had access to a computer, which is not necessarily great pedigree. They tell you what they want to tell you, and that's what you go by. So people are reading, especially with women. We are more intuitive, right? We read all the signs. Oh, well, now he removed his profile, or he's on, and why is he on, and he shouldn't be on. Well, you are on, that's how you saw it, right? So we kind of like start feeling freaked out about all of these things that happen. And that could actually signifies that to me, that there is maybe somebody who is coming back and maybe or showing up in your life, and you are anticipating issues, or you are dealing with your own insecurities, because Nine of Swords to me is always a card that talks about inner turmoil, just as she shows, right? She kind of like anticipates issues. She's kind of like regurgitating a whole bunch of things that are going on. Well, he's not going to like me, or this is going on. But this King of Cups is actually somebody who actually will listen. The entire persona, Pisces kind of like type personality, or somebody who has very strong Pisces in kind of like in their chart, simply means that that you kind of like really deal with this, that you pull it in, and then you try to find kind of like where is the barrier. You connect all of these networks in your own body, and you kind of like make it kind of like understood, make it kind of like really work. So it's going to be a week for you. Maybe you need a shoulder for crying. Maybe you need to download certain things out of your system. You will be looking in the past, and you will be reminiscing about things, about events, about people, about how things were when they worked. Maybe you're going to be even thinking about somebody who has been really good to you in the past. And be very careful. That's a slippery slope thinking, because there is a reason why people are not in our lives, especially if you're the one who walks away, and usually Libra is the one who walks away, because you know this is how time works. Memories work like that. They smooth the memories, And also don't forget that we have like vivid imagination steps in, our dreams step in, and sometimes intermingles. So we start having romanticized kind of like feelings about it. Somebody asked me, oh, how come you're not with your ex-husband because you're still in contact? Because we get along, because we don't have to go deep anymore. And I know how it was. I know what they say, the wolves are just changing their hair, but they're not changing their nature. So that's kind of like why it goes. So it's going to be interesting, but this also could mean kind of cleaning garbage of some sort, that kind of like it's happening. So we will see what is this all about. So another sip. Let's see what Kylie said. The card is spot on for me this week as I used the singing bowl, oh my gosh, on a client this week, and I was nervous about as they had blockages. That's right, the vibration, yeah, the vibration can really do it. I don't know, like, I mean, I usually use drums when I go in those kind of like healings, and drums can be really intense. I have the little ding dong over here that I bought just to use for these readings over here, but I rarely use it. It's just kind of like focus over here. So that's what, I don't know if that saying exists in English, but that's what we have it in Croatian. It's a rough translation. Next one is Taurus. Let's see, Taurus. I think that's my kitty matrix is Taurus. And he was like very affectionate last few days. He was even coming over and he wanted to kind of like spend and be hugged in a living room. Usually he just does it at night. And my nights are becoming nightmares because at this stage, like this is the bed, right? So this is I have a double bed. So I already sleep on one half because I have to sleep on that wedge pillow. And then Matrix sleeps here. He's like my husband, and he of course goes like, I mean, perpendicular on me so he can take as much space as he can. Then Safi decides wherever my leg is, especially the one that is now hurting, so she decides to like lean on that leg. So I literally cannot move. And on top of it now Tiger comes here. So I have this little spot on my bed to sleep, which means I'm clearly not sleeping well. But I guess they're really connecting. And then I woke up in the morning and Matrix was spooning with me. So that was cute. Helping a client to reconnect with their intuition. You know what, Kylie, what I'll suggest? Last night I watched Fantastic Fungi or Fungi. What is fungi? I'm not so sure. Different people pronounce it differently. It's a documentary and it's really talking about microdosing, and I was looking into that before as well, and it's something that you might want to explore. So it's absolutely highly therapeutic. So let's go. Taurus. We have the full Taurus, and this one wants to come out. Ooh, isn't this lovely card? Now you have two major arcanas. You have a flower of life over here, and again she's holding something, or she's holding an amethyst, and that makes sense because the Fool is the god. And isn't this lovely? They're showing a woman over here, and this one wants to come out. Ooh, you have King of Wands. What a freaking awesome combination, Taurus. So it is very interesting though. So there is this karma number 13 that is coming through, and also you have a 0, and 0 is very important because it's kind of like showing this wheel of fortune, showing how you're going to this journey, and kind of like this is a new beginning, and the beginning can be anywhere, right? So kind of like people kind of like sometimes designate or finish a cycle, and that might be true, but there are like certain kind of like threads still going on. I love this card over here because look at it, like we see the scorpion sting over here coming through, but this is called death, and it has infinity sign, which generally doesn't exist in the regular tarot, and I love it for it because it kind of like continues and then rebirth. And that was like really interesting in that documentary that I watched, Fantastic Fungi, because we are actually, fungi are not animals and they're not plants. There's something in between. And in fact, we are descendants from fungi, and fungi continue when we die. And it's kind of weird because I'm seeing the trees over here, and that kind of like led me to kind of like that conclusion, right? So what is really happening here is like that is telling me everything is connected, and the Fool is also the same thing with all of that energy coming through from the above. And the amethyst is possibly used because it's connected to the crown chakra, and crown chakra is connected to God, and that's kind of like where it is. Boy, but she's out on the lamp and she is really pushing it, but she's feeling really comfort over here. In any case, kind of like she knows even if she falls down, she's going to fall down into the matrix that she's going to enjoy. And in a sense, we see that matrix over here. So I know I'm going kind of like very, very highly spiritual, maybe overly over your head kind of a thing, guys, over here. So apologies for that, but I just couldn't resist. This is exactly what I would see. This is exactly what I would tell to person. So somebody comes to me with a question, I'm going to say, whoa, that question is not going to be much of an importance to you in the upcoming time, because something will be happening over here that is going to completely kind of like give you a different kind of like outlook, and completely kind of like start feeling like something fresh. So this could mean somebody new coming in your life. This could mean you're starting a completely new project. This could mean that also while starting something you're ending something, so that can simply means that you're finishing one job, starting a new job, which will be great. This also could mean you're finishing one relationship and starting a new relationship. So Taurus, if you're dealing with an air sign or a water sign, it might be a little bit kind of like rocky road, let's put it that way, because you really need to kind of like deal with certain things, and that is because you are fixed sign. You kind of like and the Fool represents Uranus, and Uranus is basically God, and it's really mean God, right? But it's God, and God says like live by my principles and you'll be bestowed with everything you want. But it's kind of like stern, right? So if you think that Mercury retrograde is not fun, then think about Uranus, who is pulling all the strings of Mercury, right? So what I'm seeing over here is that something must stop. You might either sting somebody or somebody might sting you. It's going to be something sad, it's going to be something done, then to you it's going to be just enough. And because you're such a fixed sign, and this is a fixed kind of like process over here, this is a fixed water because it represents Scorpio, it's going to be a clash, and that's the opposite to you, isn't it? Like, I mean, Taurus 5, yeah, that's exactly the opposite of you. So it's going to be some kind of like opposing energy that's going to happen, some kind of like clashes, which is really interesting, that it's going to be all about the energy, or all about the base, as the song goes, right? So it's not going to be what has been said, but what has been meant. And there are like some issues. Maybe you broke up with somebody already. Maybe they're like now resurfacing in your life. Maybe you're wondering about it. Or maybe you're even more stubborn, because this is both death and rebirth, and you're more reinforcing that opinion. Either way, something is going to stay in the past. Something must stay in the past for you. It's kind of like really weird. It kind of like felt like, it almost like feels like you just wanted to jump on the phone and call somebody, and then you killed it and you said, no, just leave the bygones be bygones, let's leave it in the past. Interestingly enough, you finally settled that energy. At least maybe you're clear. Maybe up to this point you're iffy, etc., but at this stage you're clear. And then you have this King of Wands, and it's the new energy. It's a interestingly, it's a Leo, which is also fixed energy. Only this one is not fixed. Is that it could represent Aquarius because it represents Uranus. In that sense, it would kind of like make sense. Oh, good God. That could also mean shift. It could mean somebody dies. Doesn't have to be literal death. It could be simply kind of like enlightenment kind of a death, where you all of a sudden start behaving differently. Man, not all I'm seeing is like now health issues, but these health issues need to be resolved, need to be seen by different specialists, need to be seen from a kind of like different angle, because just like I noticed this lion, then it took me off entirely, because now I'm seeing 4 fixed signs. So what happens when you see 4 fixed signs? It's just like, think about the wheel, and everybody's holding on one side of the wheel and everybody's pulling their direction, so the wheel is not moving when you have like this like huge stubbornness, when you have this thing, right? So who is the strongest of all of these 4? physically, Taurus is the strongest, right? But King of Wands is going to have the most endurance to kind of like push it and stay on, so hence they can actually win in the end. Taurus can hold it and nobody can move it, but Taurus is going to lose that hold on at some point. Then King of Wands can start pushing it. Scorpion might kind of like mesmerize you with their eyes and you'll feel hypnotized and you just like drop it because of that, right? And the Fool is like, okay, people, there are like much better things to do, and it's kind of like that enlightenment. And then you go like, why am I still holding this when I have to go and connect with God? So Taurus, this is going to be a tricky week for you, I really have to tell you. It's going to be very it's going to be some self-reflection if you have it. If you don't have it, it's going to be made for you, that something will happen that is going to be kind of like this screeching halt, kind of like, and this king might be just what you need, because this king is going to say, just give me your hand, let me show you, let's walk. So pay attention. This is also good looking dude or somebody, or could be somebody in a position of boss. They're very charismatic, they're very enthusiastic, and the general reading could be a woman as well, and somebody who can maybe even financially help, which generally appeals to Tauruses, so just keep that in mind as well. So let's see. So what do we have? What am I missing here? Did I put this Taurus? Yeah. What did I see? I recommend for anyone feeling disconnected from themselves to watch Dr. Gabor Mate video on the link of stress and disease. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was on a wagon last week watching health things. So it's the Virgo in my chart. So I watched what the health. I would recommend that as well, because connects a whole bunch of stuff, but it goes further. It goes to show that you have to be very careful even about reading things online, even from a very reputable companies, because ultimately money rules the world, kind of a thing. So yeah, I'll look into that. So Hazel, I'm sad to see that. I'm sorry to see that. And this is a path. When you have addictions, it's also a path. Some addictions can be a connection to God. Somebody really wants to kind of like reach out, and that's kind of like what is basically behind that. So that kind of like needs to be dealt with before it's resolved. Well, Aries, you cannot go forward again. We had your reading, so let's do this. Gemini. Do we have any Geminis here? Or Sagittarius? Because guys, you always have to look at the other things as well, which is almost like a scale. Gemini here, Sagittarius here, like they kind of like always balance you out. It's always good also to look at your opposite thing. Last week I was also studying quite a bit Lilith in astrology, and looking at the influences, came up with certain thoughts, which was really interesting. So I guess my knowledge of Gemini Sun is, oh, there is Gemini here, is getting better. So you have Page of Wands over here. I love the masks. They can be anything. I have a few good friends, and one of them is a Gemini. It's like, oh, look at that. You have King of Swords. Isn't this the best dude? King of Wands is kind of like giving him a really run for his money, but I really think he's pretty cool over there. Kind of like, you know that you're going to be adventurous and good conversation at the same time. And Four of Wands. So, Gemini. Page of Wands is about this like a huge enthusiasm. I don't know if you guys are opening up to somebody else this time around. Just make sure, and this dude is like not obvious. This is somebody who might even be, I would not say rude, but it could be kind of like abrupt. And for example, they're in their own world, right? He's here on top of the world, if you wish, right? So he has an owl, he kind of like has this fresh air, and he's kind of like pretty much immersed with everything that he's kind of like going through and doing, right? So Are these kind of like two connected? Is one of them representing you? Could you be this King of Swords? And maybe, like, I mean, you're looking at your kids. Maybe there are like some projects with your kids. Maybe something like that is happening. I don't know if you guys have a kid that is, I was just about to say malfunctioning in school, but I guess that's kind of like not the best expression. That there are like kind of like school issues, because those pages can represent somebody young. This also can mean that you are kind of like mingling with younger crowd, or it can mean that you're going to meet somebody younger. And maybe initially, and this is kind of like the only problem with air signs, you know how everybody goes, youth is so important, but not so much the air signs. Air signs actually like older people, and older people appeal to us because they bring wisdom, they bring all of these learnings, and they're old souls generally who are kind of like walking this planet, and we are like, oh my gosh, I just want to get this soul, and we are eating kind of like all this information. Where page one is like somebody who is like doer. It's like not so much sitting and being in their thoughts and just getting the latest book of some mythical or metaphysical or whatever it interests King of Swords. He can be even very dogmatic actually with whatever they are. For example, if they're a lawyer or judge, this is all there is, and they don't deviate much. But then you have these 401s, and that kind of tells me there is like maybe some match that actually works. And this is a really good combination, because there are two people that I see here who are very independent. They're law to themselves. And the energy is going to benefit both of them. Her energy is going to benefit him, and his energy is going to benefit her, and it's going to be just like more for both of them. It's kind of like 1 + 1 is going to make 3, not 2. So don't read this like it has to be a male and female, and that you have to be younger female, or he has to be an older male or something. It can be vice versa, because in a general reading, kind of like that can mess up. So 401s over here is always this card. It is positive no matter what, whether it's up or down. And look at here, we have the celebration. We have here, this is ours. It's establishment. It's home. This is kind of like the sense of security. And this is usually what happens with somebody who makes sense to us. You know, like especially if you're dating, my dear Gemini. If you're dating, then it kind of like you flick through people, you meet people, you hope it's going to click, and then the weird stuff happens, and then it's a no man lands. It's kind of like vacuum, and then sometimes it moves forward, and it just like feels like, well, the shoe doesn't really fit, but anyway, let me wear this shoe. I'm too picky, especially because you are so versatile. You always kind of like push yourself down. But then you go at one point and say, this doesn't make sense. I have to move forward. This makes sense. This makes sense. So with this, is going to go forward in such a smooth way. You're not going to even pay attention to, oh, what comes next? Do I need to have a talk with him or her? This is just going to go, and you're not going to be interested in anybody else. So guys, open your eyes, look around, and see kind of like what's happening over there, right? So it's going to be interesting. Hello, Stellar. There we have a Gemini rising and Gemini sun. So we were just getting your energies. So who is next? What's going on? We only have 13 people. Where are the rest? Where is the other 13? We need more. We need more people. Let's summon them, guys. Let's see the power of mind. Just like, come on, people. Chris, wake up. Where's Chris? He needs to wake up. Wakey, wakey, wakey. I'm just thinking, kind of like, come on, guys. We need more shows. We need more shows. Okay, so Aquarian energy. Of course, my energy came through. That's not a big surprise. Aquarians. Is this now? Okay, so stamp. Alrighty. Aquarius. Let's see what we have here. Holy moly. It's 9 of Swords. And I'm not even sure. Do I look? I guess this kind of like was more down than up. Then we have a 10 of Swords. Then we have the Tower, and then we have the Devil. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I was thinking, should I put it back and should I put it back? But generally, this is too many sticking. But generally, when there are just a few cards, I don't put it back. I kind of like take it as a sign. Now, this bothers me the most. Everything else means clearing some energy. Everything else means we are removing some stuff. And this is kind of very interesting, going from Nine of Swords. You know how Ten of Swords is showing person generally. Chris is here. He just didn't say hi. Thank you, Chris. Good morning. So what is this basically happening over here is we don't have her step down. She actually stood up. You see, kind of like these are all of these birds, and no matter if she's walking away, she is still I'm barely awake. See, my invocation worked. Or was it like me telling you, come on, come on, come on, get home? So get your coffee, join us, please. We need some kind of like masculine energy over here. So Ten of Swords is now showing these birds are flying off, right? And they're moving with her as she's moving, but she now has a direction because she's now at 10. She's stuck here. It's a nighttime. She's not doing much, but she is not stuck here anymore. So these cards are now reversed, which means the healing is already taking place. We are not stuck in this circular thinking anymore. We are at this stage maybe starting to move forward. You know how, for example, because I'm Aquarius, I kept saying I really want to refresh my channel, I'm not so sure what, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I was stuck in this situation. I'm thinking, and everything that I came up with was not something that I would feel. It's so exciting, and just like back to the square one. And this means, okay, so maybe we are kind of getting out. But then the Tower, I don't like when it's reversed, because when it's upright, Tower, it's disastrous when it's upright. So imagine, I don't like it when it's reversed. And what it basically happens here, everything has to be torn apart. And what is this showing over here? I guess it's showing possibly a tree kind of like falling apart, and all the fruits of the tree falling down, and the house to the squirrely and everything falling off, right? So the Tower is something that needs to happen. So this tree is going to fall down, and the regeneration is going to start to happen, and it's going to be a completely different system, and this new system is going to be working on different principles. When this happens, it means that we are just continuing with same old, same old. The shock does not happen. It doesn't shake us up. This is kind of like not a wake-up call happening, and so hence we are continuing, and that's why the Devil showed up as well. It almost looks like there is like kind of dwelling. I don't know, occurs if we are lazy. If you're lazy, then you need to kind of like dust yourself up and kind of like say, okay, I need to start kind of like moving forward, and need to start kind of like working and doing certain things, right? Because everything together comes to Temperance, comes to 14, and comes to Hierophant. Some rules need to be established, which I think they're self-rules, because the Devil shows up. The Devil shows up reversed, meaning that we are realizing our limitations, and we are realizing who are the people or circumstances creating those limitations. So realization of these is ability for us to look for the doors. This means that there are some limitations or issues that are very important that we still are not fully acknowledging. So this is a very, very strong reading for a week, right? Because this almost like would be to me monthly reading. This is not something that happens, but given that we are dealing with Aquarians who are air signs, who are always, they can have like, I mean, their life change in a second. It is just like something that might happen, that can just, you know, like be a dream, kind of like intuitive thing that kind of like leaves impression without us really even knowing, but we wake up in the morning and all of a sudden we feel different. So Aquarian this week is going to start with, it's almost like, I have to say, there is a darkness that has been dormant, and we need to now unlock these doors, and we need to let all the gunk out, clean the wounds, and resist any temptations, resist doing things that we should know better, how to build them, how to deal with them, in which direction to go, and so on and so forth. So that's going to be really important to acknowledge. And if you can push yourself into burning bridges, because technically Tower upright is burning bridges, that probably even would be advisable, because that way you wouldn't continue kind of like doing stuff just for the sake of doing stuff, or keeping people in your life just for the sake of keeping them in your life. Just kind of like it's the time to move things forward. And by the way, just remember, talking about the weekly and monthly, that should be next week is 27th, when we'll have the live next week. But the week after it is Easter weekend. So the next week I'm going to have a bi-weekly, and then I'll skip this Easter weekend. Also, my dad's birthday is 24th. So that's the weekend I'm also going to skip, because I want to drive down and surprise him with a cake and everything. Hopefully there is no lockdown or anything. So just, kind of like April will be tricky, but we are right back on the schedule. And then in the summer we are going in a bi-weekly schedule, because it's less people around. Everybody wants to take advantage of the summer. So let me see. I think this is the last one in the first segment. And this last one is Cancer. 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 Let's put a stamp here. All right. Any Cancers over here, guys? Hello, Stellar. Ooh, we have a Four of Cups. This is totally you. Well, you have a King of Swords too. And you have Five of Swords. What's going on, guys? You are in your head. There's something going on in your head. It almost looks to me that you're going to your head, which creates a whole bunch of weird crap, because there's some emotional lack of fulfillment. Four of Cups always talking about needing something special, going in a completely new direction. This is very different rendition from the regular thing, even though there is a tree, there are balls, she's not looking at them, but we don't see the winged ball. I don't know, is there something special in this? Oh yeah, it is, sorry, my bad. I might be really needing glasses. A friend of mine told me you need glasses, and I just noticed there is the hand over here. She's touching it, she's aware of it, she knows it's there. So it's almost like there's somebody in your life who is going to help you, who is there for you, but you're not looking in this direction. Almost looks to me that she has fallen down. Is that how it looks to you? That she has fallen down, she has this scuffs all over her, and she picked herself up, and maybe now she's wondering how to go. And because it's Cancer, when I saw this card, I said, oh my gosh, this card really represents Cancer, right? Because you know how the crab moves, and then something happens, and you quickly retracts. C16, people we are picking up, that's good. So there's like something here happening that maybe, which is interesting, because both he's looking down, she's looking in a distance. I don't know, is that kind of like some maybe connection long distance? I don't know what this represents over here, because that should be the sword, but honestly it just almost looks like wires to me, kind of like there is like this communication, and the King of Swords talk about the communication, but she's turning her back, or she's not receptive to it for one reason or another. Let me just see what the book says about this Four of Cups for this rendition. It says, focusing on the negative and pessimism, and time to practice gratitude. It's a gentle nudge to stop complaining. I'm not picking up that energy for this reading. It says, if you remain open to shifting ever so slightly, that I'll agree, because I see that. In order to see your situation in a fantastic new light, you will learn that the present moment is filled with the most dynamic magic. So instead of focusing what you don't have right, focus on what you do. That kind of like makes sense to me, but it doesn't look like you're going to get there. It might be that you need somebody to go to. Maybe you had somebody. Maybe this somebody, King of Swords represents a confidant. Maybe King of Swords represents somebody who is a judge. Maybe you have a legal kind of like a process going on, because he basically does represent a Libra over here. Maybe maybe this king of, maybe you have Libra in your life, right, as well. It can be Aquarius or Libra that kind of like shows. But there is like somebody who is watching you. So it could be that you're one of those programs when you have to report, like, I don't know, maybe you're an addict, maybe, you know, like, I mean, you have like one of those bracelets, an ankle bracelet kind of a thing. And you're just like wondering what you got yourself into, which is that emotional connection, something like you're figuring out something isn't right and you have to figure out how to reposition yourself again. But then is this Five of Swords. It's really interesting. Usually we see two people walking away, and I see somebody with open arms. It's the opposite. Usually is looking at it from a perspective of this person who wins, and this person won and celebrating. It's in some kind of energy. But now it's from the person who has lost. Now it's showing this person who is kind of like stuck in his head. And I really think that's what's going to happen. You really need to, this particular week, look around for people with whom you can talk. King of Swords is a judge, a counselor, authority figure, lawyer, therapist, somebody who you want as a mentor. So go and talk to this person to get you out of this rut. It might push you in a completely different type of like kind of like behavior. I'm almost like frenzy. I'm going to say, no, I have to think about all of that. I was not even there. But nonetheless, you know, it's good. Once when you get into the air, once when it's out of your system, you can get rid of it, because emotionally kind of like it gets buried. So Barbie is right. Now we are going to go to angel cards. So let me do the sip. I have to unpin it. Did you guys see, guys, that Barbie is blue now? Isn't that awesome? So let me have a sip of coffee first. So let's start from the beginning. Lynn, you have been first. Lynn, you're getting delight. So maybe you're going to get together with people. Maybe there's some kind of food. Maybe there's some kind of celebration. Maybe you feel connected to the other people. I mean, I'm sure this was pre-pandemic. They didn't anticipate that everybody was sitting in front of computer, in front of the Zoom. I'm feeling this is kind of like more in person. Maybe you need some sense of normalcy in your life. And last week I went for a lunch with a friend of mine. And oh my gosh, it felt so good being in a restaurant eating good food. Because Toronto is still locked down, nothing really works. Kylie, actually we are in a gray zone, which is technically the same. Kylie, you have vision. It says soul side future, and she's green. It's all about heart. So you need to listen to your heart. And if you get in a situation that you think, should I do this or should I not do this, right? Just stop and breathe and ask yourself, what would my higher self do in this situation? And you're going to have answers. So you just kind of like keep walking to where you really need to go. Knitting yogi next. Healing, my lady, healing. Are you doing Reiki, or are you doing anything like that on yourself or on the others? Because this simply means that if you are not doing it, that you should be doing that you can kind of like affect it that way. So this is really interesting. Lynn, you're due to take your COVID dose of the vaccine at 12 noon. Well, just all the best, right? Like, I mean, I don't know, like, we need to pray for you, because that's good. Like, you know, like when it's my turn in Canada, like we got so many more vaccines than anybody. I think my turn is going to be in October. And I'm not going to rush, because I'm going to wait for the second kind of generation, to be honest. But hopefully you get Moderna or Pfizer. I'm not so sure about AstraZeneca, but good luck. I'll keep you in my thoughts. Yeah, guys, you have lots of people there. We have it in Toronto, but now we are just vaccinating 80 over here. Then, who is next? Why is this not rolling down? Oh, here we go. Who is next? Kelsey, good morning, my lady. You're not, other than saying good morning, you are not hearing from you. Just say something. Oh, you also have Delight. kind of like you need to get together, you need to kind of like reconnect. Maybe human touch is important for kind of like thing, right? So that's important. Just don't forget this, that we feed of the energy. You're probably extrovert, and maybe you need that for your own mental health. Who else do we have here? Hazel. Hazel, are you still with us, sweetie? Sagittarius. And this one, truth. You need to speak your truth, or somebody's going to speak their truth. It's kind of like time for eye to eye or heart to heart conversation, and not coaching, not mentoring, not patronizing, but just really speaking who you are, soul to soul connection. It's going to be very, very important. Then we have Crystal Smith. We have Crystal Smith. We have flexibility. Crystal, what are you up to? Doing some yoga, or this is simply talking about dealing with the other people, allow room for maneuver and kind of like that kind of stuff, and it's going to be really important here for you to do that. So just remember, if you feel that you're rigid in a situation, that this card came out. Am I forgetting anybody? Stellar showed up. Hello, Stellar 14. Oh, you're getting contentment. I don't know if you're planning any gardening. Like if you are here in Canada, you wouldn't be doing any gardening yet because everything is still wintry. But contentment simply can talk being in touch with surroundings, with other people, and kind of like feeling that's kind of zen or even zone energy. So that's really important. And then Chris showed up with money. Instead of saying good morning, there's money first. Typical Capricorn, right? Thank you again. You're getting commitment. Chris, what's happening? Is your date kind of like doing so well? Is that what's happening? Kind of good. Do tell. Wake up. Wake up. We want to know. Come on. Come on. We want to know. It's always good to hear from a guy about that. So somebody wants commitment here. If this is not you, somebody does want commitment, or this is commitment to kind of like doing certain things, then doing certain projects, going in certain direction. Could be kind of like stuff like that. And this is it. These are the angel cards. Are we doing the doors, Barbie? What do you say? Barb and Chris still? What? Huh? I didn't do you, Barb? Ooh. Didn't do my Barb, so I'm going to do you. Sugar comes last. You're getting discernment. There is a path in the road that you need to decide where to go and how to go, right? And simply kind of like you need to allow yourself to go and take any route. Yesterday I drove to a different city with a friend of mine, and I was picking something up there because there is a city close to Toronto. It's called Hamilton, and my friend's last name is Hamilton, so it was all teased that we are going to her city, right? So we went there, and she's like total fun, Aries, but I'm a little bit more adventurous. So I said, we are not taking highway back, because I was using Waze, and Waze was like taking me off the highway, back on the highway, off. I said, forget it, right? I'm staying on, even if it's bumper to bumper. So on the way back, I said, let's take the scenic route. And scenic route from Hamilton to Toronto, you're taking basically the lake. You're driving next to the lake all the time, right? So you're going to eventually hit it, except it takes, instead of 30 minutes, it takes 2 hours, right? And it was like freaking awesome. So we stopped at the beach, and this is kind of like something like that. Maybe you're going to get sidetracked, my dear Barbie, but it being sidetracked doesn't mean you're going to be lost. In fact, you might find something that you didn't even know you are looking for. I may get asked for commitment. Isn't that weird, guys? I always felt it's so freaking weird. Somebody asks you for commitment. For me, this always goes without saying. If you start dating somebody, well, just let's try 3 or 4 dates, and if it's fun, then we go without these discussions. If it's not fun, it just like feels out. I don't understand like seeing 3, 4 people at the same time. But then you might get asked. That's a Scorpio that you're seeing the lady, right? So yeah, it's not much messing with Scorpios. All right, so I am doing the doors, guys. Can the please my my mods explain to the newbies what the doors mean, so they know what to do. I mean, you can read it, but this is the time, if you have questions, that you ask yourself. And I'm going to shuffle. That's why I'm covering this, so you actually don't see it. So you can choose a left door, center door, right door, or door number 1, 2, 3. Okay. Here. Two. And 3. Alrighty, let's remove the graphic over here. Let's remove this graphic here. Chris, haha, my first go around with Scorpio, getting an education. There are different type of things, right? Scorpios, really, with Scorpios, it's unfortunate you don't really get their full flavor in a month or two. You literally, with Scorpio, it would need to be a couple of years and putting up a whole bunch of stuff and getting things on your nerves in order to really understand what they can offer, because at that point would be freaking amazing, right? So, but most of us don't stick around for 2 years, and we'll see. It's going to be interesting. You will let us know, eh? So the door number 1, or the left door, and why is this all of a sudden feeling crooked? I'm not so sure. So far I didn't, but I'll try to see if I can straighten this out. The door number 1 is Page of Swords reversed. It could be some kind of harshness, some kind of harsh words enclosed over here. Oh, I don't know, unless you guys need to discuss things, unless you need to debate things. Ew, this might not go well. I don't know, maybe it's a good sign. Maybe the air needs to be clear, because Page of Swords is like, you did this to me, you did this to me. How can you ask me this? So with this, that's the attached thing. Certain things will need to be spoken, right? Talked, and you need to kind of like deal with this. Whew. The door number 2 is definitely no, but it almost looks like it's a bigger picture here at hand, and you need to ask yourself, if, especially if this is a part of a relationship or part of something that kind of like depends on the other person, this is really talking about, hey, are you sure this is right? Are you sure that whatever you're doing fits? This, guys, it might deal with a third party, that there's somebody else involved and you might be the third wheel. If that's the case, I would walk away. And this person is kind of like really connected to you, but it's connected to you because this person needs healing. It's the bird that has the broken wing that gets just dropped in front of you, and you're taking it and healing it, and the bird is very grateful and you're enjoying the bond. But the bird is going to heal and it's going to fly away. So you need to get ready for this bird to get set free, right? Boy, such negative messages. And this one is for wands reversed. There's like something that you kind of like ask and you really didn't want to ask. You kind of like already feel that maybe you're testing cat. Let's see if she's going to tell me. You already know the answers, and the answer is yes, it's going to happen. So why are you asking me this stuff? Why are you wasting your own questions? So that's kind of like what it was. So hopefully, guys, I don't know, you guys have nobody's commenting about the doors that you picked and how did that really worked. So that kind of like really works. So we're going to do it in the end one more time, guys, so don't run away. And we are going to go to the second segment, and second segment we are going to open with ooh, these two want to come, so I'm going to prep this one for the next one and go with Capricorn. Capricorn really wanted to come out, so let's do it. Timestamp. Okay, Capricorn. Let's see what's happening. What do you mean testing? You're blue, Barbie. I'm so excited to see that. Oh, you have 10 of Wands. What happened? What happened with this 10 of Wands? something got... Ooh. Alright, Chris, this is not the reading for you, but I know like you're dating the Scorpio right now. I'm just like wondering if it's kind of like becoming weird, or they're like something mysterious, something very secretive over there, that you're like wondering if you just need to pack up your bags and go, or maybe you guys have situation in your life. Because look at this, General and Ten of Wands is the opposite of this. You see the guy carrying a whole bunch of wands, sticks, and they're like overwhelming, and you know it's hard, you know, like he's not seeing where he's going, he's tripping. But this person does have the way shown, and this person is almost enthusiastic, has everything that is really needed. It has like, I mean, the bull has the stuff, except it's the night to travel, but she seems to be like really walking away toward her own destiny, which technically wands are. You are kind of like, sometimes you need to kind of like pull that kind of like line in the sand and just like say this is really enough. I was testing you, number 3. Look at this, guys. You are awful. Is Cat having enough coffee this morning? And kind of like see what's happening. So 10 of Wands here is you're kind of like fed up with something, I think, Capricorn. But both of these pictures, or maybe you're following something, like it almost like feels like natural you're coming to it. Knight of Pentacles, to me, it's a proverbial friend. It's really kind of like, and this is the key card. This is the card in the middle, right? It happens. So, whew, I don't know, Chris, if you're really into that. It kind of like you like the company, you like things that are happening, but I really don't feel that this is going fast anywhere. Knight of Pentacles is kind of like on a slower side, and possibly somebody might feel incensed about it. Somebody might feel WTF kind of thing about it, because check this out. Almost looks like there is like a storm happening around Capricorns, and the Capricorn, your eye of the needle kind of over here. And of course, you have Pentacle. You are not moving in a hurry. You're just trying to figure out that all the steps are kind of like being thought through. But to some extent, maybe you're even anticipating turmoil. You're maybe, because that's what the Nine of Swords does. You have a 10 of Wands, and then you have a 9 of Swords. It's almost like that whenever you are not just on your own with yourself, and it's really interesting, like with this dark horse over here, something happening, except the dark horse is walking behind him over here, right? And the dark horse always represents something unknown. It could be part of our personality that needs to be unlocked, that we need to see it. Or maybe it could be simply somebody pushing buttons in us, and that can be portrayed over here in 9 of Swords, where all of these birds are flying out, and all of these birds are basically saying to us, you know what, yeah, you can worry here and cry over spilled milk all you want, but eventually and soon you will have to start getting going, because it's going to rain. Like, you have to be very, very pragmatic, which is your sign. So I don't know if this is somebody else bothering you, putting the pressure on you, or you're kind of like walking into this kind of like tumultuous something, or this is simply you feeling nervous. And that's circular thinking. It's kind of like really hard to get out of this loop when you get there. It's almost like you have this clarity in the beginning of the week, but toward the end of the week, you feel stuck. Well, to be continued next week, so we are going to have a better information about the situation that will continue. So we will see. Look at all of you pick number 3. No wonder I was checking myself. See? I know you cannot do this. It shows up. It just kind of like felt weird. So who is next? Oh yeah, this one wanted to come out. Leo. Leo goes, I want to come. Pick me. So Leo, I'm picking you. Let's put a timestamp here. Yeah. Leo. Oops. If it was the best decision, apparently I already knew the answer, so that's good. There you go. Leo. Leo. Ooh, my favorite card in the entire deck. Isn't this awesome for Ace of Swords, guys? Kind of like, ta-da! Aha moment, victory. And that's a karma card, guys. Ooh, but of course you have a Three of Swords. And then you have a Knight of Swords. And this one is Five of Swords. Swords, 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 swords. So you're thinking this week on a whole bunch of different levels. So this is really interesting. You're making a decision, like right out of the gate. And the decision is setting you free. The decision is pushing you in a direction that, what do you mean, Chris? Like, you have to look Aquarius as well. When we are rooting for Leo, you have to look for Scorpios, you have to look for Tauruses. And what is the other one? Scorpio, Taurus, yeah, for all the fixed signs. So that's basically what's happening, because they're all kind of connected as well. So there is like this like big decision. There's like really something that is really, really happening. Breakthrough, if you really wish. Maybe you are leaving somebody over here. Maybe somebody's leaving you. Maybe there's a situation where you kind of like feel like an intruder in the situation. But look at her, how calm she is. She has this Fibonacci curve, which is the origin of life. And it's kind of like Leo is becoming the lioness, and you know how fierce and protective and everything she kind of like might be and everything. But the Three of Swords is like really pulling me aside, because it's going to be some discomfort, it's going to be pain, it's going to be some kind of rejection of a sort. It's kind of doubling down over here. Maybe somebody's turning back to you, maybe you're turning back to them, maybe it's time to move forward. But this is all happening. There's going to be lots and lots and lots and lots of things happening for this particular week, right? So this is kind of like really interesting. Technically, you have 9, right? 5 and 3 and 1, which means to me it's a culmination of some events that now you have everything. You see all the cards on the table, and you can make a decision. Knight of Swords is the fastest knight. It's the fastest, right? And you have the birds in these 3. I'm actually no, you have the birds even here. So the birds are everywhere. Birds to me suggest vision and suggest you need to lift yourself about the circumstances, right? You need to see, like, it's almost like a drone, kind of like go see it from the above. It looks different. It doesn't, we are so mesmerizing about who we are, how we deal with things, how we do things, instead of kind of like seeing this like big plane in a picture and just realize, okay, maybe it's not that important. I'm taking my ego too seriously. It's really, really important. Five of Swords, it's again, Five of Swords is a card about winners and losers, and we can see the winner here, and the winner is connecting with the universe. So there is a disconnecting over here. Somebody's running somewhere. Maybe somebody wants to say something. Maybe somebody wants to say something, but then somebody's really not receptive over here. This raven also talking to his ear can also mean that you're dealing with a person who has made his mind up, who kind of like has the influence of somebody who is dragging him. There's a person who technically has this win or lose attitude, and win or lose to this person, win for this person means I need to win at any cost. We know that in life, yes, the win is a win. I mean, this could be you guys. You might win, but you might not feel like a winner. In life, the only time you win is when there's win-win situation. I mean, know how hard is that to kind of generate that, especially because midweek you have something here, something. Somebody's either running away or you are running away, and there are going to be lots of thoughts. It's going to be all in your head. So guys, all in your head means you're not grounded. So you need to either plant something, buy some soil, deal with the soil, kind of like mingle it, and it's going to kind of like really, really help. So just keep that in mind, Leo. Don't forget how you started. You started with vision, you started with decision. Just make sure you're following it through, because you're going to go a little bit up and down this week. You'll think, I'm right, I'm doing this right decision, then you'll doubt it. And then going to go back on track, then going to doubt it. So don't doubt yourself that much. Kylie, wowzers, I ask the yes or no whether Leo is getting or going through divorce. There you go. It's just like it's going to be really, really slippery slope. Like you're on an ice with a whole bunch of glass like inside. So it's super extra dangerous in the situation. Boy. So it's going to be interesting. I have one client that is a Leo, so I'll need to have I need to pay extra attention there. Then we have Scorpio. There we go. I don't know if Chris is back, so we can check the Scorpio vibration over here. So let's see. Scorpio. Scorpio. You have Five of Cups and Justice. And this one wants to come out. Well, you have two majors. So Five of Cups is disappointment. It's emotional letdown. And look at that. It's almost like, Jesus, what do you call this? Is it? What do you call when the water goes down like that and it just pulls you down? Whirlpool, I guess, right? Whirlpool? Is this a whirlpool showing? There's like something spilled, except she has like 4 bowls spilled, right? So this is not a general normal rendition. But this one is not only full, but it's full of good stuff. Like there is like this universal energy. I think I'm seeing all the chakra cards over here working, but instead there is like a focus on the loss over here. In spite of everything else, the path is there, the vision is there, the hope can be there, but we are just focused on one thing. So the Justice came upright. And look at that, there is a shadow of us, kind of like Justice is a really weird card. It really doesn't talk about fulfilling us emotionally, right? That's not about it, right? So that's going to be Two of Cups because this is kind of like relative of all twos, right, in a deck. But this card more or less talks about you will get what you need. And this is a positive thing because something for you is happening. But when these two cards combine, it can talk about a breakup. It can talk about a divorce. It can talk about, you know, you need to release yourself from the energies of the past, because as long as you don't release yourself, you cannot make the space for being happy, right? So you have a mug full of coffee, and so how would you enjoy fresh coffee if there is no room to put it in? You need to not just go to the bottle and say just like top it up. No, you just clean it and it's fresh and it's completely different flavor you can enjoy, right? So this is a crucial card, but there is also strength. So it's really interesting here. This is where it gets interesting. This would mean divorce and this would mean marriage, right? So you have both. And the Justice being a key card over here, maybe you're debating. Maybe you're like on the brink of what do I do about this situation? Do I split from this situation or do I fully engage? Because as a Scorpio, you're not doing anything half-heartedly, right? You are going in a situation, you're all in. This is it, like you're a dog with a bone, and this is your best and that is your worst quality over here. So I think over here, you might meet Libra, you might meet somebody who has strong Leo in them, you might and that can kind of like be a positive force dragging you out. Justice also means that you need to strive for balance, you need to strive for feeling comfort. This clearly is not a card of balance over here, right? With Justice, even though it's a card of balance, it doesn't mean it's rendered in a nice and beautiful, let's say polite way. It's kind of like slamming the hammer down and justice has been done kind of a stuff. It's kind of like mankind rendering, if you wish. Somebody who finds, maybe you don't deserve this much. So maybe this simply means the karma is stepping in because this is a karmic card. And it's kind of like looking at possibly the path that guided you to this level. And if you had suffering, it's basically asking you, why exactly are you suffering? Why are you dwelling on certain things? You need to let go certain things, right? And that kind of like enlightenment is going to allow you to release, technically release your chip on the shoulder, because strength means you are conquering yourself, not somebody else. And when you conquer yourself, this means even stopping being afraid of relationships. So that's weird, because sometimes when you have commitment phobics, they are always in relationships and they always talk about marriage. They always want to marry, but when it comes to it, they quickly, they're out, they disappear. This means that you finally realize, okay, no matter what happens, I have me, and I trust me, and I love me, and I know that I'm going to pick myself up, that I'm going to dust myself up, and that I'm going to move forward. And this is kind of like that kind of a strong week is what you have ahead of you, my dear Scorpio. So it's going to be in. So she has Scorpio in 5 placements in her chart. Yeah, that's not good. It's always good to have lots of things around, because otherwise you'll do flat, right? It's a little bit dimension. So she needs to maybe do a lots of volunteer work to kind of like soothe those astrological aspects, right? Because we all have negative aspects in our chart, and when you kind of like deal with them, like Scorpion is always about intensity, right? So how do you deal with that intensity? You deal with this intensity by introducing something that you can either channel it out. So that's why I suggested volunteering, or punching pillows. Sometimes it's connected with anger with Scorpio, or they're like way too emotional, and again, maybe kind of adopting pets that nobody wants. So kind of like it will be a focus which will kind of like completely reshaft the energy of the initial kind of like horoscope as well. I have some stuff like, I mean, I have Saturn like badly positioned, and especially is making it messy. So you always kind of have to work with this. Always have to try to be 100% moral, 100% good in the situation, right? In order for me not to get, you know, in karmic trouble. Sagittarians, you're next. Saggies. Okay. Sagittarians. Let's see. Hi, Kathy. Nice to see you. It's a beautiful Saturday. Thanks for joining. Oh, so now we see here 7 of Swords. What's this? And we have Justice. Also, we have a 6 of Wands. All right, my dear Sagittarians, look at that. 7 and 6 is 13, right? So that's a karmic card. That will be death. I don't know if you're dealing with the Scorpio, but also when I add the major arcana, would be 24, which goes down to 6 to the Lovers, and the Lovers is the opposite energy of yours. So it kind of like does make sense. So you might be having somebody in your life, the 7 of Swords, who could be a backstabber, who lashes out. You might find out that somebody's lashing out. You might find out that somebody is like talking crap behind your back. You might find out that somebody is telling one thing in your face and telling another things behind your back. Or if you have a job situation that somebody really wants your position, and literally they're like so freaking negative energy. They're like digging the hole underneath you, and maybe you have been like friendly and open-minded with them. In any case, I think it's going to be enough of this. You're going to get a whiff of it. Maybe you already know it, and justice kicks in. You're going to say, no way, Jose. You're going to be just cut out. It's going to be just like that. Literally, you're going to do this justice on them, which is going to bring you like freedom. This is almost a karmic bond. This is like a moon in Aquarius, kind of like that we are dealing over here. So it's something that maybe has been culminating for quite a while. And maybe you're dealing with some person since August of last year that can kind of like be talking about that as well. Or maybe simply there's like something that usually pops up during kind of like this new moon phases or full moon phases. And that's what's happening. But in any case, justice means, okay, look, you know what? It doesn't have to be anything abrupt. It's just kind of like in your own mind. You're going to be busy all the time. You have no time. You're going to have this prepared kind of like answers for something to happen, and so on and so forth, right? Six of Wands is the big card of celebration and something. And look at how lovely is this. Like the spotlight is on you, but this is not any kind of spotlight, because if you look, we see the trees around. These are not people. She's not like in the center of the stage. She karmically is moving forward, kind of like gods are looking down on you, and everything that you did so far brought you to this level. So it almost looks like there is the person, it's almost like you need to do the step back. Maybe this person helped you go somewhere forward, but now you're realizing it's a cost. Or maybe they help you because they thought you're going to fail, and since you didn't fail, now they're jealous about it. Now you're realizing we have been on this journey of my life for a little while together, but at this stage our paths are splitting. Thank you, have a good trip, kind of a thing. And that gives you power, right? It could be also very somebody dogmatic, so keep that in mind. This kind of combination sometimes can talk to me about dogma, right? Because 7 and 9, you're like finishing somebody off. There is like something that is done with, right? Justice can mean divorce as well, but it's upright. It's something that is benefiting you in the situation, and you're going to feel very happy, very light after that decision. So we have Pisces and Virgo in here. So let's see what says. Kylie, you're Sag. I know who this is. They're not in my life. I cut them off. That was, yeah, started in August during the full moon in Aquarius. Look at Barbie, and don't forget, guys, to like it as well, as she says. So thank you so much in advance. So karmic lessons from the past. Is that somebody I know, Kylie? Is that somebody who used to come here? I'm just wondering. And Virgo goes first. That will be Knitting Yogi is our residential Virgo. We need to have mods, one from each sign at least, right? And I think that would be freaking awesome. Then you kind of like carry this energy through. Well, let me just squeeze this in. Virgo. And let's start. Virgo. Oh, you have 5 of Pentacles reversed. You have 6 of Cups upright. Oh, there is a third one. And then you have 8 of Cups. This is actually lovely. And again, you guys are going to have sort of a, let's say, Mercury retrograde, even though we are not in Mercury retrograde, but that's kind of feeling of the past. Check this card. You know, this proverbial 5 of Pentacles, you're kind of being left out in the cold. And I'm purposely keeping the finger here where I'm keeping it, because there is this door with a big lock over here, and she's crying in front of this door. And you have to ask why, because the key is right here. She is not using this key. So it really talks about self-imposed limitations over here. Something being done, something kind of like working in life. And interestingly, that we do not see a second person here. That is, to me, was important hint in this card. So we don't see it here. So the hint that is really important is this key. That this key is not inside of us. This key is outside. We need to take some action. However, Virgo, you got this card reversed, which means you are now going to become aware of this key, and it's going to be really brought to your attention. Or also you might be thinking that could be somebody else who could have opened those doors, who could have dealt with this, but it didn't, or he or she didn't. And that's kind of like something that kind of like bothers you over here, right? Because look at this, they're making together 20. So 5 and 6, 11. Oh, sorry. 5 and 6 is 11, and 8 is 19. And 19 is the Sun card, which further reduces down to 10, Wheel of Fortune, which further reduces down to 1, the Magician. So I think there is like some kind of like, they're all minor arcana. So there's not going to be some huge thing, except that maybe you're reminiscing of somebody from the past, or situation from the past, or something meaningful for you, maybe something that couldn't happen for one reason or another, but the connection maybe was there. And maybe this residual energy is something that finally is coming to its natural end, if you wish. It's like a candle, it just comes down and it finishes, because I see you walking away. I see you kind of like deciding, I need to find out things for me, and this energy was good. So this is usually for me that I see it in the cards of the clients who for example are kind of like dating someone when they're like in a high school, and then years later they reconnect with this person, you know, on Facebook or something like that, and now you're not experiencing yourself 20 years later, you're experiencing yourself where you were in those shoes and how you were then, right? Like awkward teenager or whatnot, and reminiscing about, oh, I really wanted to be your boyfriend, or I really wanted to be your girlfriend, and it feels good, it feeds our ego. But you realize, if this didn't work back then why am I dwelling on it right now? Or something maybe occurs to shows, well, you know what, like we are very different people, I actually don't have even a sense of this person. And this is kind of like walking away, like toward the sun, toward kind of like really feeling that you need to follow your own star, that you need to follow your own path in life. So somehow you're kind of like living this past in the past and cutting maybe all of these kind of like invisible kind of like paths that have been going on, and that is really important here to note, Virgo. So maybe a little bit of resurfacing old stuff is going to happen, but ultimately you're going to clear things out and just move away from anybody. Or maybe somebody's going to just show up from the past and you say, hey, nice to see you, da 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 da, gotta go, must cook, talk to you later. Kind of like put it in perspective. In Pisces, you are the last. You're the last sign. You're the last 3 today. So let's see what it is. It sucks, huh? It was your birthday. You were always first, and then you just go. Technically, you just go back, pushed into the last space. But let's see what I have for you, my dear Pisces. And a stamp, a stamp. Okay, Pisces, Pisces, Pisces. Oh, I don't know them. Okay, Kylie. Pisces. Ooh, you have Ace of Cups. And you have 3 of Wands. And then you have 6 of Swords. So there is a 10 over here, the energy of 10. Maybe you're exploring potential with somebody. That's why you have Ace of Cups. Is always good for some kind of potential, especially romantic potential. But since you have water sign and this is water, it doesn't necessarily have to be. It simply talks possibly about your potential and maybe your beliefs, your vision in kind of like where you really want to go. These are the cards of ships, except this is a surfboard and we see the waves coming, right? But these waves are coming toward us, right? So it's almost like you're not really traveling out, and this is kind of like what confuses me in this kind of card, because this whole card is about the traveling, kind of like expanding. This is the starting point in tarot to move forward. But nonetheless, never mind, they should just put the waves going in different direction. I'll be fine with this. There's the 6 of Swords, right? And this is like the bridge over troubled waters, and this is kind of like you're being guided. You're setting out. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, that's maybe just her bracelet. It just looked like that she's connected with a knot to the vessel. She has a suitcase and a sword, and she's holding onto her hair over here, which is kind of like a need to hold myself together. That is really, really showing. It's kind of really interesting. The swords are being also shown with the birds. It's just uplifting. So it's kind of like really well done, because 3 of them are left behind. You kind of like need to forget certain things. You know what they say, cut your losses? This is what it says. You need to kind of like take certain things with you. It's like kind of connecting with this 3 of Swords, and you need to leave certain things behind. So I don't know, maybe this simply talks about choice of your partner, that you are kind of like debating if this person is the best, or maybe it kind of like feels like there are some parts of this person I really love, there are some parts of this person that I don't love, I don't know what to do about it, kind of like sort of things. So this is what is telling me here is, never mind any of this thinking. It's going to clarify its own. You just have to keep moving forward. You have to be focused on your own goals, and everything else around you will crystallize as a result. And that's going to be very, very, very important over here, my dear Pisces. So just travel through it. It's a 10, meaning you'll be going in a completely new direction. So it's not something that you need to kind of like overly worry yourself about. But having said that, this can mean kind of like, you know, when you're kind of like, when we were students and then you come home on kind of like for holidays and then you have to go back and there is no mommy food anymore and you feel a little bit of, oh, nostalgia, I have to leave. But as soon as you're on the bus and again, you're feeling great about it. So that's kind of like maybe feelings that you're going to have this particular week. So keep this in mind. So now we are going to do the doors first, and then we are going to do the mods cards, right? Because now the second round only mods get it. So guys, you cannot make the same question, and I know if you're picking in the cards. So let's do the pick of card thing here, and I can start hiding this, so in a case the card drops out, you don't see it. Is this going to do it? It's going to do it. So let's do it. Door number 1 is out. Door number 2 is out. Number 3 is out. All right. Let's remove this. I'm talking to you like I'm talking to Tiger in some kind of like modified English. So on top of my modified English, so it's freaking awesome. So who asked for door number 1? Who asked for door number 2? And who asked for door number 3? So if you wanted to do this one, it's a 5 of Cups. It's an emotional request, or it's going to become emotional. It just simply says that this is possibly not the best path to follow, that can kind of like drain you, that can take you down in emotional no land, not so much la la land, emotional wasteland rather to say. But 5 of Cups also could mean, in rare circumstances, somebody is coming back. And if that's what you ask, then the answer in that case would be yes. But otherwise, it's really warning you that it's taking too much time and energy in order to kind of like move in that direction. The door number 2 is the Hermit. You need to really think this through. You need to ask yourself, what is the best decision for you? Hermit is God figure also in tarot, so you also need to you have ability to impact the outcome. How? By meditation, by connecting to God directly, by connecting and channeling that energy, not through wishful thinking. See, you need to debate with God why this makes sense. You need to present a case. So this is unlike justice that you present it to a judge. This is before God. And before God, you cannot come up with crap. You have to come up with something that really makes sense, that is moralistically right. So that means you first have to come together within your own soul with the answers. And once when you do, you already know what is happening, and then your energy is going to shine brightly, and it can manifest if you keep focusing on it, and if you keep talking to God, and this is what I want, and this is why I want it, and I would be very grateful. So this is the energy pretty much of analysis and gratefulness. So this is really important for basically something that's going to happen. Or if you're asking for something that is more or less solitary, that you want to go, I don't know, somewhere, travel on your own or something like that, then the answer is yes. And the last one, and Barbie, you're not getting angel cards. You're going to get the real tarot cards over here for the finale. The answer is no. Somebody cannot do the yes at this stage. It's either the situation is not ripe, or you are not fully ready, or somebody else is not ready. So that's not gonna happen over here. So if you guys are not the mod, and it was like really pleasure seeing you, you guys can get a reading from me. Contact me via cattarot.ca, and if you don't see any reading that is a good fit for you, I get people all the time contacting me and say, what about this? How do we customize this? And I'm just dealing with one lady like that is making a life decision, so we just created like a mega package for that. So all right, so what we are doing right now, we are going in order of appearance, mods. I'm pulling one tarot card for you. So Lynn Westbrook, you're first. And the message for the week. And remember, the next weeks when we have live is going to be bi-weekly live. So it's going to cover 2 weeks. So Lynn, you're getting a 3 of Wands reversed. You're either waiting for something to come back, or some news or some investment to come back to you, or something of a sort. This can also talk, that could be a third person that is messing up with the whole situation. This could mean that maybe the planning hasn't been properly done. So you really need to look into that. You need to really see who are your real friends, who are your real enemies. Kind of like keep your eyes open this week. Very important. Kylie, you're getting the Hermit. Did you also, was Hermit the answer to this as well? So Hermit is really good for 33, right? It means you need to charge your energies. When you master number, this is like having a really good phone, but good phone also needs kind of like juice all the time, because they can drain the energy. So you really need to live life compatible with your higher interests and with things that you really like and that you want. So this is really telling you kind of like need to connect, meditate, get in contact with your higher self, and charge your batteries. Barbie, Madam Barbie, man, this was like a great Saturday. Now I'm going to scoot out with Mr. Tiger for again. Kylie, you have the Sun. I don't know if there's somebody in your life, because this Sun shows couple and eye-to-eye thing, or it could be that somebody's going to catch your glance. I will continue with this. I will play upon this. This is really good. It connects to children. There is the wall over here. You need to know who is coming in the inner circle, who is not coming into inner circle. This is a victory. This is a really good card. You're going to have freaking fantastic week, Kylie, and good for you. Knitting Yogi, you are having Hierophant reversed. So it's interesting because you do yoga. In some decks, this is basically a yoga card, right? So are you kind of like figuring something on your own? Because now he is saying you need to follow me, then you're going to get the keys to the kingdom. You almost like you're getting keys to the kingdom. So are you becoming the Hierophant? Are you the one becoming the guru? Are you becoming now in the next phase? I like Hierophant when he is reversed. This is also could be marriage card and marriage reversed as well. But it definitely talks about something huge, something really big, and something that we are ready to do it on our own, that we don't really need to follow the crowd, that we don't need to follow the paved path. So it's kind of okay to kind of like step out and kind of like do that stuff. Who else do I have next over here? I did Kylie, I did Barb, I did Lynn. Who else? Lorna H. I see Lorna H. over here. Lorna, you're getting Ace of Rods. That's that's kind of like a vigor, that's energy. It could be somebody from the past. If you have an ex-boyfriend or somebody who you're on and off, it's going to be on. It can talk about sprouting something new, right? You see the stump in the forest and you see the new tree coming out. So it could, new relationship can start from somebody who you knew for a while, or somebody who is kind of like already in the past. Or it can mean that you are like now refreshing some projects that you had that you put aside, and now you really want to deal with this and kind of like go in a new direction. So it's a really, really good card. It's going to give you lots of energy. So that's really, really good. Let's see who else. Then we have Chris with a big yellow line across. Chris. Ooh, Chris, you're getting your own card. You're getting the Devil card, but you're getting it reversed, so which is kind of like better. When the Devil reverses, it kind of like you're fully in touch with yourself. You're aware on the things that you are doing, overdoing things, and you're also aware of things that you're underdoing things. So you're putting them in balance. So the Devil is also kind of like playing the field kind of a thing. Maybe you're kind of like realizing, maybe I have to kind of like reconfigure how I do things in order for me to kind of like try not to repeat doing the same things over and over and expecting different results kind of a thing. So the Devil is kind of like looking at things logically and maybe changing and shifting from the usually kind of like done preset kind of like things. So for example, if you're dating a few people, this also could mean that you will try just to see one person. It doesn't mean that you're kind of like giving commitment, but you're just kind of like seeing what kind of vision you're going to see if you just do that. And did I miss anybody, guys? I'm just going down the road here to see if somebody came later. And I don't know. I don't see anybody else. So lift your arm if I missed somebody. So I hope I didn't. So Knitting Yogi says, you want to do more healing type of yoga, too much shallow exercise. But I so agree. You need Knitting Yogi. I did yoga when I was very young. And then you would go to this dude who spent time in India with some gurus, and they had to go through trials and tribulations. And the exercise was just a secondary because you had to get the energy from inside. And then Bikram yoga made it into McDonald yoga. And I almost fainted on my first Bikram yoga, and I opened the window, which was next to me. And then this like yoga teacher came to yell at me. I said, forget it, I'm not coming here. And that's why I kind of like shied away from yoga ever since, because if you can return it back, I think that would be absolutely awesome. And Kylie said, what a powerful Saturday. Thank you so much. You are so nice. And oh boy, that resonates. I'm glad to hear this, Mr. Chris. Chris, we need to do your annual. Let me know if you want to do it, so you kind of like get a better picture. Kylie and Lynn and Barbie and all the mods who showed up, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week, but then you're going to see bi-weekly, so we can have Easter just simply with our close ones, and then we kind of like do the week after that again. So all the best to all of you, my kittens, as Chris said, to call all of you here online. I'm looking forward to our next date, and let's play some little music until I say, oh, this is a little bit too long, until I pull everything off from the table and we can all say goodbyes to each other. And you know that I love you. All the best, guys. Hello Aries, happy birthday and welcome to your April reading. So to everybody who already celebrated it, happy belated. To everybody who is just about to celebrate, I wish you all the best. Before we start, don't forget that there is a live. It's usually every weekend with some exceptional exceptions, such as like the Easter days. So Saturday, this upcoming Saturday is going to be bi-weekly, but otherwise it's weekly, so please join me for that. So without further ado, let's jump in. I'm trying to make it easy, and instead of me integrating astrology, I just put it on the side, so that way